Welcome to Education Unfiltered. Here is Mary Stucko.
Hello, this is Mary Stucko with Education Unfiltered, where we discuss all things higher ed and all that goes with it. Today, I am joined by Shelley Lowe, who is the Executive Director of Career Services at Davenport University. Welcome, Shelley. How are you?
I'm great, Mary. Thanks. How are you?
Good. So tell me, we have a lot to talk about today, and we are looking a lot at the Michigan employment outlook through 2028. So you sent along a lot of information to me in different careers. So when you're looking at this, at the top 50 careers, you're saying that there's a high percentage that requires certification or higher education beyond high school. Do you want to start talking about that and explaining that to us?
Yeah, every year this quarter in September, Michigan Educator and Employer College Employer Alliance gets together, and we invite speakers to talk about the state of employment in Michigan. And the data that I sent to you was by Dr. Scott Powell from the State of Michigan Department of Technology Management and Budget. And one of the key elements to the points that they made going through 2028 is that about 70% of the jobs that are coming or that are here and going to be very, very popular through 2028 will require a higher level degree than a high school degree, at least a certification, a post-baccalaureate certification, or a bachelor's degree or master's degree.
Excellent. That's nice. So there's kind of something for everyone depending on how far they want to take their education. Mm-hmm. And, obviously incomes will vary based on that level of information. But can you tell me a little bit more about what kind of careers Michigan, and is this directed more towards Michigan or is this nationally?
This is based on the Michigan outlook. Okay. So it's jobs in Michigan. And what we're going to see, interestingly, is that actual job numbers will be flat through 2028, but we're already challenged to fill those roles. And we're already missing opportunity for career seekers to grow in Michigan because they may have left high school, started a career, and not moved on to do additional training or additional education. And for Davenport, I look at it based on what Davenport offers and what the industry is aiming to achieve, or what industry in general in Michigan is aiming to achieve. And at the moment, 30 of the top 50 jobs in Michigan are degree programs that DU offers or certification programs that DU offers. So for me, my job is to find out if we're missing anything, mm-hmm. if we need to add anything. And of course, our academic teams are always looking at this really closely too. So for us, just understanding the knowledge that's going to be necessary going out for the next, 8 years or 9 years or 10 years is really important. So we're looking at a lot of technology. In fact, tonight we're doing an event with Dow. The cyber defense team for Dow is speaking to our students and the public about what cybersecurity means and how it infiltrates all of our lives. And so everywhere you look, there's need for cyber defense and cybersecurity. And so that's something that's not going away. It's going to stay real strong, right, even past 2028. Nursing, recruiting nursing is going to change quite a bit. We've seen it fluctuate from taking RNs and LPNs and moving only to recruiting RN or BSNs, nurses with bachelors. We're going to see it flux back because the demand is so high to attracting LPNs and then expecting them to move on and get their RN or their BSN degree, or higher. So I think that employers will probably manage the recruitment effectively through attracting talent and offering opportunity so that they can grow talent. And I think that's going to be very, very necessary coming down the pipe over the next 8 years in order to keep good talent and keep it engaged and keep it growing and keep filling the void that is being created by demand.
So do you think a lot of these employers will also offer tuition reimbursement to help them progress and help fill those needs better?
I think they're going to have to, and many of them already do, and they're already offering incentives for employees to pursue higher levels of education or higher levels of certification or increased numbers of certifications. And they really don't have a choice. If we're going to keep up with the demands and the types of roles that our industries require in order to be successful, we're going to have to do that. Davenport does some specialized training through their IPEX program that allows, for example, the insurance industry or, for example, business management leaders to get additional skills based on the organization's needs. It might be sales skills for example, a car dealer, a large car dealership. It might be insurance certifications or additional insurance training. It might be management certification in the areas of project management or process management or process improvement or something along those lines. Or it might be administrative specific to an industry, but DU tailors training for industries who need that and for companies who need that.
Very good. Now, there's a dearth of talent in Michigan and the need to attract that talent to the region. So what are your thoughts on that?
It's going to have to be organic and inorganic. We're going to have to keep people here because the jobs are here, which at this moment isn't that hard to do. The jobs are here, so people don't have to leave. But then also we're going to have to look at what COVID has taught us and what working in place has taught us. And we're going to have to be attractive to people living all over the country and all over the world from an industry perspective and from an employer perspective, for people who are not interested in leaving Kentucky or not interested in leaving Maine or not interested in leaving Arizona to want to work for us and travel as needed to Michigan, which I could imagine might be much more limited than it used to be. But we have this enormous opportunity to attract talent from all over the world now and not have to have the expense of moving people here. Now, that doesn't help our economy from a population growth perspective, but it does help industry attract talent that may eventually come here once they're embedded and they can grow with an organization and as the organization's needs change. So there's a lot of our opportunity in both the organic and inorganic ways of growing.
It's amazing how much thought processes have changed, since the beginning of the year. It's fascinating. Internships. Where do you see those right now?
That's an area that I have been watching numbers on for about 13 years, and it's fascinating to me. Our unemployment rate for the last, for the last 2 years definitely has stayed steady, so we're not seeing a lot of change. But what I noticed coming out of 2008, 2009, up to 2012 was until the unemployment rate drops down, if it's high, to below 9% or at 9%, internships sort of dry up. They're keeping and serving the people that work for them. They don't have a lot of extra work. They serve up the project work to their current employees so that they don't have to furlough or let them go or lay them off. But once you hit about 9% and then going down, internships start coming back and they get stronger and stronger as the the employment rate drops. Right now, at the COVID point, we saw internships completely go away March, April, and May of this year. At this point, internships are back, and they're back at a level as high or higher than they were November, December, January, February of last year. So industry was really planning on having a lot of interns. And then all of a sudden we were hit with a curveball. And all of a sudden we had to figure out, all right, what do operations really look like? And now it's gotten to the point where I think industries understand how they operate, how they can operate, how they can work virtually, how projects can get done, how research and analytics can get done, how service can get done. And so now they're starting to see areas where their interns fit again. And it's growing, and we're seeing numbers. I think right now we have over 4,000 internships posted in Handshake, which is our employer recruitment system that almost every college in Michigan uses. And I think there's like 4,300 or 4,400 internships out there right now.
Interesting. Are you seeing these internships mostly being virtual, or are you seeing them face to face, or are you seeing a mix?
We're seeing a mix. It really depends on the type of role and the type of project or the type of need the organization has. Obviously, analytics can be done anywhere. Purchasing, as long as you have access to a system and can review data, can be done anywhere. But sales and marketing and some of those things do require some frontline activity. The other area that we are seeing more remote activity is definitely in the IT and help desk and those areas, and technology support areas. But when you get to what are commonly the frontline or the people-facing opportunities, we're seeing a lot more people going into the office or going in at least part-time to work with groups and work on teams, even though they can do it collaboratively online in a lot of ways. But I think one of the areas that we don't talk about is federal work study, and that's a federally funded training that comes to students who have a financial need. And I run for the university our off-campus community service work study program, and these students can only work for organizations who provide direct service to the community. And in almost all of those cases, they have to be frontline workers. But these also teach a great deal about training in technology or doing intake and finding services for people, or doing kind of the direct care work that people need, or child care, or running a daycare, or managing the marketing for an organization. And so many of those, they've been struggling a lot, and many of those can be used as internships because you're doing work based in your program while you're doing federal community service. And in those areas, we've seen companies fluctuate. They bring people back and then they send them back home, and then they bring them back and then they send them home, because they're trying to find that balance between safety and between, serving the populations that they need to serve with our students.
Yeah, those safety plans, I think that all of us have had to use. It's kind of a work in progress.
It always is, yeah.
You were talking at Davenport University about doing assessments. Will you talk a little bit more about that as far as placing people?
Yeah, our group, the Career Services team, focuses on a number of assessments, but the ones that we focus on most help students identify a direction to go, particularly our students who come in like me. They've been told by somebody, you're going to college. I don't know what I want to do. I kind of like just selling shoes, or whatever. Mm-hmm. And they end up in college, but they don't really know what they want to do. Or they've been in a family of all accountants or all attorneys or all doctors, and they just don't know that that's the path they want to take. We have always done the strong interest inventory. We've always used the ONET online assessment for students in order to help them identify their strengths, their interests, and how they correlate with careers. But we just started using a new one called Pathway U, and it's very similar to the Strong, and it's very similar to the ONET online What I Want to Be assessment. But it actually assesses 3 areas instead of 1. It assesses interests, which they all do. It also assesses purpose and values. Mm-hmm. So it not only helps you identify pathways to a career or areas that you would be really successful in because you find joy in it, and those same activities are propagated during the career or the job that you take, but it also helps you identify companies that match with your values. And when I talk about purpose, I talk about, how a person views themselves and their purpose, and matching them with industries and organizations that are purposeful in the same way. So it gives them a little more in-depth insight into who they are and where they could go with that, and really garner a lot of joy and success from it, from their skills, ability, education, experience, values, and purpose. So
that's interesting. So it's really just looking at kind of the core of that person. Mm-hmm. And then it's great that you're having success with that. Talk more about how you're seeing recruiting, how that's going to be adjusting more, other than, maybe looking at people who can work from outside the immediate area. What else do you see?
Well, in college recruiting, we're seeing a huge, huge shift to focusing heavily on diversity, equity, and inclusion. It has never before been more frontline and more tactical and more purposeful than it has been this last 2 years and moving forward. A number of our top employers that recruit with us want to know who our student organizations are, who work with veterans, who work with people with disabilities, who are designed around Black culture or Black students or Hispanic or Latinx students or women in technology, and it goes on and on and on. They want to know who our groups, clubs, and organizations are that they can reach out to, not just our broad student population, because they're all working very hard and very focused on bringing to their workforce a diverse population, diverse views, diverse ideas, and strengthening their organizations that way. So one of the things we're going to see in general is a lot of diversity efforts being made to attract people whom they may not have attracted before because they weren't focused on it and they weren't sensitive.
Mm-hmm. Well, that is all great information. Thank you so much for joining us, Shelley Lowe from Davenport University. This is Mary Stucko with Education Unfiltered. Thank you for joining us. We look forward to seeing you again.